Minimalism. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, it's Autumn, and I have a video coming up. It will probably post after this one, um, basically saying, hey, we're moving. But I'm not going to post that video because in the video I show the outside of our house. So I'm not actually going to post that until after we close on this house. So be looking for that probably like the first week of January. But my kids are gone today and they're with their grandparents. They're like basically maximizing their time with their grandparents right now. And anytime we're with the grandparents, I'm always like, wasn't there something I wanted to do when the kids weren't here? And usually it's make YouTube videos, and I never think about it until they're back home and I'm like, oh yeah, I should make a video. So that's what I'm doing today. Now I should probably, because we're moving, I should probably be like packing or I'm gonna turn this bathroom fan off. Yeah, I should probably be packing. I have done some packing, but I have a rib that's actually kind of hurting and I can't get into the chiropractor for like 3 or 4 days. And because I have hypothyroidism, anytime I get sick or I have any type of like stress or inflammation, which is why stress management and basically managing those cortisol levels of stress, inflammation levels are really important to me, because the more stress and the more inflammation I have within my body, the more hypothyroid symptoms I get. And so I'm having some inflammation in my back, and that is causing me to be very fatigued. So I should be like making sure my house is perfect for appraisal, and I should be packing, and I probably should be like looking at stuff for our new house, and I need to like be on the internet and like looking at like, you know, bank accounts, because we use a local bank here, so we need to change banks and I need to do all these things. But the inflammation kind of highlights those thyroid symptoms, and it's really impacting my like energy level. And so I've been very, very tired the last few days, and this is why I got started with minimalism. So I want to talk about minimalism and why I kind of started down that path. Now, I can't say that I am a minimalist. My home probably doesn't look like the minimalist like you would see on Netflix. And whenever I'm interested in something, I become like obsessed with it. I love research. And so probably 5 years ago, okay, let's just start with that. So I have had hypothyroidism. I was diagnosed when I was 9 years old, so 20 something years now. And pregnancy, that's just really made pregnancy kind of hard for me. And then nursing, I basically don't feel like I'm ever myself until I stop nursing a baby. And so 5 years ago, I had 3 kids, 3 and under. I had a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and I just had a C-section and was nursing an infant. And we had just moved, so half of our house was still in boxes. And my kids had like 9 grandparents who bought them way too many toys for Christmas and way too many toys for their birthday, because, you know, that's how they think you should love someone, is show them give them gifts, right? And that's kind of normal. But it meant that I was in this very like anxious, exhausted, thyroid levels could not get level. I was not sleeping at all because I was nursing a baby, and I was just kind of feeling really miserable. And I remember feeling very frustrated. Like, this is like the time in my life I've looked forward to, like my whole entire life, is just being a parent and having these babies. Like, this is all I've ever wanted. I never had these like aspirations to like have this certain career or anything. If you asked me what I wanted to do when I grow up, if a counselor said, what do you want to do when you go to college? I kind of would lie, because I wasn't really interested. I really just wanted to be married and have children, these natural, like instinctual things that some people want. I was just so strong and kind of all I wanted. I just wanted to be married and have kids and be the best wife I could be and be the best mom that I could be. And here I was in the middle of this dream come true. I, had a house that I owned, that I could paint the walls when I wanted to, and I could do DIY projects and I could improve it. And I had these 3 beautiful girls who loved to play dress up and princess. I mean, like, they're a fairy tale. They're a Hallmark movie, my kids. But I was exhausted and I was miserable and feeling almost kind of resentful towards family and just like a failure, because I had 3 kids, 3 and under, and you can train your kids all day long to clean up. But if you're like toting a baby around, nursing them all day long, you just had a C-section, you're in that postpartum season, I just felt so overwhelmed. And there was this other mom on YouTube at the time. I don't even remember her name, y'all. Maybe it was Jamie. She was talking about minimalism, and she had 4 kids, like 4 and under. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's so like dumb. You can't be a minimalist and be a mom and have a family. And like that's so silly, right? But when she started talking about why she started implementing minimalist concepts, not that she was 100% a minimalist, and not that her house looked like a, cold black and white minimalist, like the stereotype like you might see in a magazine or a photo shoot or something, bullcrap. It was about being overwhelmed. It was about having too many clothes to wash and too many toys to pick up and too many responsibilities, and feeling like she couldn't just be there present with her family, because if she stopped to play with the kids, then the dishes would never get done. And if she stopped to snuggle and stopped to do this and that and be present in the moment, then the laundry would never get done because it was always backed up and she could never catch up. And so she started implementing, these minimalist concepts because she just really wanted to enjoy the season of life she was in. She wanted to be present with her family. And that hit me. And I feel like I'm gonna cry right now. That's how I felt. Very overwhelmed and resentful towards anyone who gave my kids anything. And that sounds so twisted, but the reason is that my kids were not old enough to manage their own things. I was the one that was managing every single gift. And so if my kids got 3 gifts times 9 grandparents for Christmas, or if they got a gift times 20 friends coming to a birthday party, there's just so many things. And even though I'm so grateful that they're so loved and people want to give them things, I felt very overwhelmed by and just surrounded by stuff. And you know what? You can't control other people. I can't control their grandparents or friends, or I can't really say, hey, can you stop giving them stuff? But I can control me. And so it just kind of sparked this interest for me. So I, watched a documentary on Netflix. I started watching things on YouTube. I started watching a lot of different content, and I got interested in KonMari, but it really wasn't until I started implementing some of these things. But then I found Dawn, the minimal mom, and she is a family with 4 kids, right? And so it was more practical. And so for me, the last few years, I would say the first 3 years, so I've been kind of implementing these minimalist techniques and thought processes towards my things for the last 5 years, but probably the first 4 years or 3 years, was in secret. I was a closet minimalist. I was secretly getting rid of things, secretly decluttering my house. And the more that I got rid of, it was just baggage lifting off of me. And the more I felt like I could be present, the more I wasn't laying in my bed at night, completely anxious, overwhelmed by, laying in the bed thinking, okay, I'm going to get the house clean tomorrow. And then I wake up the next day and I try to get stuff done and I just can't ever catch up on it. And then go to bed at night and you feel just so defeated. Why can I not catch up? Why can I not get things done? I'll do better tomorrow. And then it's just this crazy cycle of constantly having too much to clean and too much to pick up and too much to manage, and just feeling like you're failing over and over and over again, and feeling like I was missing out on enjoying this precious season of life with my kids, where they're this cute, they have these little baby voices, And this just beautiful season of life, I felt like I was missing out on because I was a slave to all the responsibilities and all the stuff. I was just so tied up managing all the things in our house, right? So the advice was control what you can control. And so I told my husband, hey, I might start getting rid of a few things. And he's like, do whatever you got to do, right? And so as long as I didn't mess with his stuff, it didn't matter. And so I started, like, we had just moved, right? So we had boxes full of stuff that had been sitting there for 3 months. And I said, hey, we've lived here for 3 months. We've not even opened some of these boxes. I think that means we don't need the things that are in here. And so I started decluttering the stuff that was in those boxes because apparently we didn't need it. Then I went through the kitchen again because we had a really small kitchen at the time. And I like our house, I think decluttering for me has really been like peeling back the layers of the onion. You take a pass at it, take a layer off, go back a few months later, take another layer off. Because as I was decluttering, I was realizing what I actually really use and what my fantasy self uses. You know, like I have this really cute red pie dish. I still have it, you guys. I have used it probably one time in 3 years, but my fantasy self is still going to use this pretty like stone pie dish, right? Because like my fantasy self like makes pecan pies and pumpkin pies and things like that. And the real me doesn't really like baking, I think because it's too messy. But my mother-in-law does. And so I just let her do the baking and let the kids go over there and bake with her. And it's special for them. And my kids, you know, bake frozen stuff here. I just ripped my pants. So yeah, I just started peeling back the layers of my house a little bit at a time, peeling back things that, you know, I was free to deal with, right? So I wasn't starting with my kids' toys exactly or my husband's things. I was just things that were within my control, right? Control what you can control. So I started doing that and I felt relief. And then I started going through my kids' things and going, okay, what do my kids really play with and what do they not play with? And I would take a layer off of the toys, right? And maybe bag it up and put it in a closet. And if nobody was missing it, if no one went looking for it, then I might donate it. And so I did that. And over the years, I've gotten a little more bold and a little more bold. So, you know, like I said, I think at the beginning of this video, we're going to be moving. And oh my goodness, moving, getting ready to move, prepping to move after having 4 years of like peeling back the layers of my home and peeling back the layers of my possessions. And my husband has significantly reduced his possessions as well, and his clothes and his things. And my kids are kind of looking at their things like, okay, do I actually play with this? Would I rather have these things or would I rather make space in my life for something new? And so just because we've significantly reduced the number of objects that we have, that we keep, we've reduced, as Dawn on Minimal Mom says, we've reduced the inventory in our home. I feel like I have a lot more control over our house. Our house is so much easier to manage. I mean, it still gets a mess. You guys, can you see, like, let me turn, do you see all of this on the table right there? Yeah, that's Play-Doh that my kids got out and they left out. And guess what? The consequences of leaving out your Play-Doh is that you have dried up Play-Doh. And I think that's just a life lesson you have to learn, right? So things still get messy. We still have to clean things up. I am a very imperfect homemaker, but you guys, I can clean my house so much faster than I used to because there's simply less inventory to manage. And I feel like I can be a much more present mom and wife, and it really has taken the stress off of me. And so for me, you know, someone who has hypothyroidism, you know, I've kind of learned to hack my body over the years and find things that, you know, help me feel better and how to manage it, not just with medication. Medication helps, but it doesn't always erase like the symptoms and stuff. But because I have hypothyroidism, you know, my energy levels are consistently inconsistent. I kind of describe my energy levels, which could also be described as motivation levels. My energy that my body is capable of producing can be, you know, a little kiddie roller coaster, but every now and then I'll have a spike followed by a crash. And the crash typically for me takes about 2 weeks to recover from. And this is not anything that I could describe to a doctor, most doctors, and that they would even understand what I'm talking about because, but if you've talked to anyone who, you know, has hypothyroidism, they've had it for a long time and they're really kind of self-aware, they'll agree. Like, yes, if I get a burst of energy and I decide I'm going to do a butt ton of gardening, well, that gardening is then going to create inflammation within my body and then I'm going to crash. Or if I get a spike in hormones where my thyroid for some reason decides to work really, really good and then I have a crash. And it looks a crash for me, what I'm describing as hypothyroid, like a crash, feels a lot like I've been working out and I'm sore all over. It could feel like brain fog. It could feel like I could be like stuttering a little bit. It could feel like depression. It could look like depression. And I could go get like a blood work done and you could absolutely tell my blood work that something is wrong, or I could have all these symptoms and get blood work done and they'll be like, you're within range, there's no reason you should feel this way, and yet I still have these symptoms, right? And so this is what I'm describing to you, if you're unaware, is very typical of people with hypothyroidism or even people with hyperthyroidism. There's some similar parallel symptoms there. They can just kind of be either the same or opposite. Like we both lose hair, we both deal with inconsistent energy levels. So for me, having these inconsistent energy levels means that there could be, 2 weeks every 6 months where I'm so exhausted that I can't do anything. Like I can't think, I can't clean. I'm just like running on, our house has to run on auto. I can't be chasing everybody around, picking up after them, right? So what I have found, if you have chronic fatigue, if you have any type of like energy condition or inflammation condition, if you have a very, very busy life, there was something else I was thinking the other day, but if you have any kind of like chronic fatigue or energy issues, if you have hypothyroidism, if you have arthritis, I would highly suggest that you maybe practice some minimalist concepts and reduce your inventory, because if you reduce the inventory of things you're managing in your home on those days and those weeks when your body is just not keeping up, then your house can kind of run a little bit better without you. You know what I mean? So between kind of practicing these minimalist type concepts, and then also I want to mention some other things that, when I get interested in something, you guys, I research it like obsessively. That's kind of like my personality. And so like currently my interest is index funds and like robo investing and stuff like that. So guess what I'm watching on YouTube? Guess what I'm reading? I'm reading about index funds and robo investing. Well, a few years ago, I was desperate to like, how do I keep my house organized? How do I keep it clean when I am dealing with like energy issues, when I'm dealing with inflammation? What do I do? And so Minimal Mom, Clutterbug. Oh my goodness. On YouTube, you guys watch Clutterbug. I think her organization is practical for the average person and for families. And then lastly, I do think that KonMari has some concepts that are helpful. Also, if you're really having a hard time decluttering sentiment or guilty sentiment, I would advise that you look into the concept of the Swedish art of death cleaning. That might help you to let go of some sentimental things that you just keep out of guilt. And then also to kind of like put a bow on it and tie everything together, I would also highly recommend that you get on Audible if you like audiobooks, or just go buy the book and read it yourself. And that is Atomic Habits. And so Atomic Habits really just took all these little things that I was doing and tied it together in a way that was functional and really helped me to form new habits, or to figure out how to form new habits efficiently, and kind of also figure out why some habits were easy for me and why some habits weren't. And so Clutterbug, Atomic Habits, Dawn at the Minimal Mom, the Swedish Art of Death Cleaning, KonMari. There was another one. I can't remember it. Oh my goodness. But a lot of these concepts really helped. Jennifer L. Scott at the Daily Connoisseur, her book, Lessons I Learned from Madame Chic, something Lessons from Living in Paris or something like that. I would throw that one in there too, because it really has to do with lifestyle and a capsule wardrobe and living with less and daily habits and things like that. It's a kind of a different perspective on that. But yeah, those are some resources that have really helped me. And if you guys have any other questions about minimalism and what we do and what we don't do, I don't feel like our house looks like a minimalist home, but geez, getting our house ready to sell, getting ready to move has been, I feel like, I mean, we're tired, you guys, it's still work, but it's been so much easier than the last time we sold a house like 6 years ago, where I feel like it was so stressful and exhausting. And this time has just, I mean, we're tired, but we're good tired. We're not like stressed, and it's just really felt like a breeze and like a blessing, and like the Lord has just gone before us and opened doors. And yeah, so if you guys have any questions about minimalism, about how I forgot to put SpaghettiOs on the stove. There's hypothyroidism and ADHD for you, whatever, ADD, whatever. So anyways, I gotta go stir that because I've been doing this for 20 minutes and it's probably gonna boil. So yeah, leave any questions that you have and I'll try to answer them in another video. So bye.